Hey friends, you're gonna see the length of this video and be like, I ain't watching all that. But I promise you there's some really good information about Prism Titan, and if you watch the video through its entirety, I think you will be equipped to make your own decisions on what the best version of Prismatic Titan is, for specifically the Diamond Lance Knockout Shiver Strike 1 equals 2 equals 3 setup. And what do I mean by that? The first one makes a Diamond Lance. Then you wait around for that Diamond Lance cooldown to go away, pick up your Diamond Lance, and use that Diamond Lance to create another Diamond Lance. So, depending on how you do it. Or you can get Radiant and start 2-tapping with something like a Spare Rations, maybe a Memento Mori Ace. There's a lot of very surface level combinations that make sense with Prismatic Titan. But I'm getting into, I'm not going to call it a deep dive, let's say a medium dive, on how a lot of these fragments and aspects interact with each other and in a team setting. So that's the information I'm going to be throwing at you in this video. We're trying to speed run to the optimal Prismatic Titan meta so this shit can get nerfed as quick as possible. That is the goal in today's video. Enjoy. So as the private match is loading up, got my free-to-play account on the side, playing MNK and controller at the same time to play both characters. I'm going to rapid fire information here. It's probably not worth skipping around the video because all of this is going to be useful. Even the parts that you don't exactly know off the top of your head how they combine with other parts. This game is very convoluted. We're going to start off with Amplified, which you can get from Knockout. Amplified gives 50 mobility, 40 handling, and a swap scaler, as well as slide distance, which is why in a lot of cases you're going to see players use something like Dune Marchers, because if Amplified randomly makes you slide farther, at least you have a consistent slide most of the game. Not to mention some players only play the game with the enhanced slide, because it's really good. So let's talk about Knockout. To proc Knockout, you need to break their shield. Your standard melee does 116 damage, doesn't break the shield. You still see a little bit of shield remaining. Shoot them, I get Knockout, goes from 116 to 151. Knockout counts as an ability kill, so of course it makes a Diamond Lance, in addition to proccing heavy-handed, which creates an orb, which can heal me through recuperation, and better already, which means that running something like Facet of Blessing is kind of redundant, but it does have some niche uses. So if you wait out the Diamond Lance cooldown, you can go on a cross-country adventure and make another Diamond Lance off your Diamond Lance. So 1 kill turns into 2, which turns into 3. So that is the Titan kit in a nutshell, and how you should be aiming to play it. Prism Titan has that minigame, and it has the Transcendence minigame. We're going to talk about all of that as I continue here. So the most popular way of making this said Diamond Lance is by using Shiver Strike into a follow-up melee. But as you can see, it did not make the Diamond Lance. For that to happen, you have to add just a little bit of chip damage. Just shoot him in the leg once with the hand cannon. That will do the job. You might think that linear actuators, the Dune Marcher perk, would contribute towards proccing Knockout. It does 51 damage to a crowd, but that doesn't proc Knockout for whatever reason. If you want to go that route and gamble a little bit less, use Spirit of Contact. Powered melee damage causes lightning strikes. Oh look, I have Knockout now. Of course, with the network or the game or whatever, if you instantly follow up the Behemoth strike, and let's say that we're out in the open and they fly too far away before I can follow it up. Here, I actually have to switch positions here so you can visualize this. Point is if I do this combo too fast, it doesn't make a lance, even though it says Knockout on the bottom left. You have to wait just like a millisecond. So there you go. That's how it doesn't work. So even with Spirit of Contact, you should still put in that requisite bullet. The only time that that changes is when you're near a wall and you knock them into a wall so that they don't fly so far away, so that you can wait the requisite millisecond to follow up your melee, which then creates the Diamond Lance. Right there, I missed it, but I promise it would have worked. So there is a resilience threshold that stops Knockout from proccing with Shiver Strike. That threshold is tier 6 and above. So let's go through that real quick. Switch to my Dunes. Let's look at my test character's resilience real quick. It's at 10. If we drop it down to 6, Try to find a way to get it to 6. Actually, 5's perfect. Take my word that 6 doesn't proc knockout. 5 is going to proc knockout. And boom, now you have knockout. Now the hunter makes a free diamond lance. Had I known this really, really early into the season, I probably would have had my hunter above 2 resilience. But I also play a lot of dodge-centric builds that kind of goes with the territory and the risk of having like Gemini Jester or Invis more often. So yeah, I'll take that gamble too. Let's very quickly talk about Facet of Blessing. I know I kind of glossed over that one. We're still rapid firing here. Knockout will heal you through making the orb or just procking knockout. Succeeding with knockout. Blessing is for when you don't proc knockout. And why would that matter? Maybe your teammate got a flare weak and you clean them up with a regular melee, but they melee you at the same time and you're half health. Let's just see right here. The double melee fight. Both of you, Mom Spaghetti, missed the entire kitchen sink. And you get your health back without succeeding with knockout. So Blessing is still very valuable. But when you start wanting to build Transcendence as fast as possible, Blessing is often one of the first fragments for me to go. One that I've started locking in more often is Facet of Honor. Collecting an elemental pickup or destroying a tangle grants Transcendence energy of the same type. Notice that Diamond Lance is not on that list. If I made a Diamond Lance and picked it up, it would not give me Darkness energy. To make a tangle, you can either use a Shackle Grenade, a Slice Weapon, or Facet of Solitude, which I strongly recommend if you main Thorn, Hawkmoon, Last Word, Submachine Guns. The list goes on and on and on. And if I tried to show you it working in this private match, it wouldn't. For whatever reason, there's a bug where it just doesn't work sometimes. I could reload a different map like Altar of Flame, exact same conditions, it'll make the tangle. So I deep dove into that, and I don't even want to know the answer. Just, if it's not consistent for you, that's probably why. But let's say I made a tangle and I picked it up, I just get a spike of darkness energy. It'd be around 7 to 10% worth of it. A very shady thing you could do is just switch, I guess, like Darkness Punch or something like that. But swap weapons if you need to build the Dark Meter more. Or just go for special weapon trades if you need to build the Light Meter more. Maybe throw a Suppressor Nade, which is why I can't really recommend Glacier or Shackle. You gotta go Suppressor to build the light side, since you could always swap the weapon to build the dark side. What else here with the pickups? Oh yeah, Facet of Command works for this. You make a Stasis Shard off your frozen target. You also get... I'm going to go with Whisper of Hedron's numbers here. Whisper of Hedron's was 30 stability, 15 aim assist, 20 airborne effectiveness. So if it's anywhere close to that, that's awesome. You also get a Void Breach for succeeding with the Suppressor. And if you look at my grenade throwing build right here, which has like Armamentarium, and I believe I'm going to switch Ophidian for Inmost since I'm not getting that much value out of Ophidian. Remember, Amplified also gives you a handling bonus too. Okay, so let's just show you how this works. Grenade goes down. Oh, hold on, let's just get the grenade kill then at that point. So I made a Void Breach. Watch the light energy. Light energy goes up. I don't think I can make it cross-country, so I'm going to move my free-to-play account a little bit closer as I pick up this Diamond Lance, and we're going to go make a Stasis Shard now. Over the course of a match, these little amounts are going to add up a lot. Oh yeah, let's talk about that Diamond Lance tech. If I'm repeating myself, that's okay. Also, it went through the floor. That's cool. So you can throw it and then tap the melee button, and it'll slam you down, which can help you follow up melee frozen targets a little bit better. While I'm on the subject of Diamond Lance, I know I'm bouncing back and forth, but all of it's important, I promise you. Diamond Lance lingers for 25 seconds. If I picked it up, I can only hold it for 12 seconds, and the Diamond Lance cooldown is 17 seconds. So if you want to optimally loop it, you need to grab it around the 11-second mark. 10 is probably more comfortable. If you're using a stasis weapon, you could make a lance on the 3rd kill, which is very unlikely in a Trials of Osiris situation. So now I just want to read through these fragments so you can sort of visualize how you're working towards transcendence depending on your playstyle and I guess kit selection. So we're going to start with sacrifice. I'm just going to go through all of them. No, we're going to start with grace. I don't think grace is worth it. It's not enough energy. Defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus transcendent energy. Defeating targets with your super grant you and nearby allies bonus transcendence energy. In this case, we're trying to get a transcendence before the super, then we're trying to use the super to get a second transcendence in trials, especially when the game goes to a 4-4 match. So, grace, if you have the luxury of free space, go for it, but whenever I make these builds, I don't. It's also not worth the -10. Now, Facet of Sacrifice. While you have an Arc Solar or Void buff, aka you use your melee to get Facet of Dawn through either Knockout or Shiver Strike, you get bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. Devotion. Defeating targets afflicted with stasis or strand debuffs grant bonus Light Transcendence energy. Oh look, Shiver Strike slows them, which means it will proc Devotion. So both Sacrifice and Devotion proc for free, which is just a bigger chunk of both Light and Dark Transcendence energy at once. Facet of Honor. Elemental pickups, like I said, 7 to 10%, and this works team-wide. So you can have a team setup with command where everyone makes void breaches, stasis shards, etc. Everyone picks them up, and all of you move closer to transcendence for someone else getting kills, which I think is the most economical, which is why it's going to be locked in for me. So really like Facet of Solitude to make the tangles, although it's a double-edged sword with Prismatic Titan, because sometimes you will make both at the same time, and you want to pick up the lance, but it decides to pick up the tangle, and vice versa. But if you have the luxury of a second to grab the one that you want, it's better because you just get a free tangle. Tangle's like a grenade and a third-person peek. It's really strong. You could also grab the tangle, tell your teammate to grab the lance, etc., depending on who needs the energy. Facet of Hope. This is for really min-maxing barricades. I'll show you the barricade build here after, but it's helpful, but once again, with very, very tight fragment space, that might not be the move when you can go Transcendence, since that Transcendence nade is so influential. Facet of Awakening. This one's kind of locked in for just the resilience. Not everybody has perfect armor, so you're probably going to go this route, which is useful because typically your super is going to pick up a lot of multi-kills, but also your knockout melee can do this too. And you can get an elemental pickup for just kind of playing the game. Maybe you get a double kill with your shotgun or something like that. Facet of Command makes the Shard and Breach for just suppressing or freezing, which you're doing anyway with the Suppressor and the Diamond Lance. Facet of Protection. If you're the type of player that dives into a crowd, you actually do get some resist, which might prevent them from double meleeing you. It's happened to me a lot. Facet of Purpose. Remember the one where it said you need a Arc Solar or Void buff? Amplified counts towards that, and so does Purpose. In this case, I like using it on Void because Void is the fastest super. 916, 916, 820, 916, 916. So pick up an orb, and you get either a small overshield, frost armor, amplified woven mail. The ones that really matter are frost armor and overshield because they let you survive a double melee. Or they just let you like 1v3 better. So in trials, a lot of the time when I know I have to pull more than my own weight, I will put on Facet of Purpose, and I'll lower my resilience to around 7. It doesn't have to be 10. Not everyone's running around with an Ariana Empowering Rift or something like that. There's not enough things that 10 stops right now for me to warrant it on every build when Transcendence might be more influential to winning the match. And I think that is it on these fragments. Let's talk about cooldowns. Shiver Strike cooldown at tier 10, 57 seconds. One stasis shard from command takes off about 3 seconds off that cooldown. If you're running tier 10 thruster, one void breach takes about 3 seconds off its 21 second cooldown. If you were going the barricade route, one void breach takes around 2 seconds. I remember that they made a change at some point that makes the longer cooldowns get less energy from those type of pickups. So glad to see that that math checks out. Now I had thought I was being clever here and thought Spirit of Hoarfrost, if it's in my inventory, would give me the rally barricade cooldown It is not. It gives you the towering barricade cooldown. Even the exotic chest piece still gives you the towering. Also, the chest piece gives you the rally barricade effect, but the class item does not. So I do not recommend Hoarfrost. Even if it did work with rally, it's still a little riskier than a barricade. I guess it's harder to get rid of from the opponent's perspective, but they can see you right when you set it up, unless you set it up near a wall. Whereas the regular barricade hurts them when they pass through, and it's transparent, so you can see what the enemy's doing, so you can snipe better or something like that. So I thought I was being cheeky with that suggestion. Turns out it didn't work anyway. Now the next one that's very interesting is Spirit of Inmost Light. So with one single instance, one proc of this, it doesn't really do that much. It takes about 3 seconds per instance on a tier 5 Shiver strike. So 3 seconds off that cooldown, and it's a long cooldown, as you can see, from 4 to 5. That's not really that noticeable. Where it starts to become noticeable is when you start chaining empowered abilities. You see how it's ×1 right now, and it's about to be ×2. And then landing the punch extends it, and then knockout also extends it, even though it's not on this timer. They said they were going to redo the buff timers and activations and stuff like that, and to me, I'm still missing so much critical information. It was like a slight improvement, but didn't do even close to what I wanted it to do. Let's get back on subject here. For the barricade cooldown to matter on towering barricade, you have to chain that for a while. Just 1 or 2 ×2 procs here and there is only going to shave like a second or two off that 41-second cooldown. So to get the most mileage out of Inmost Light, you pretty much have to be knockout meleeing as often as possible, and ideally pairing it with something like Focusing Strike or Impact Induction to get even more value out of it. So with that in mind, if you're going the exotic class item route, this only really leaves 2 logical choices, which is Ophidian if you need the handling. Remember that Amplified gives the handling. Or if you don't need the handling, then you go Inmost, not because it's great, but because it's the least bad. Technically, you could get the final blow with the Shiver Strike and use like Assassin or Severance or something like that, and it would be technically usable, but at that point, just go Dune Marchers and have a better neutral game. Or, this is thinking Mega Brain here, way down the line when more people have very optimal Prism Titan teams. What about our trusty old feedback fence? Go triple charged up, maybe switch to an Austringer so you can eat flinch for breakfast. If you go just stacks on stacks, your melee will give you 2 charges. Elemental charge from command and whatnot. You can pick up all the elemental pickups. Also charge yourself. Watch. Gives me 2 charges. I'm gonna wait for health to return. Oh, that is not a healing grenade. Alright, I am fixing my mistake. Okay, 2 armor charges. Look at how much damage it does. Now I'm going to take off stacks on stacks and punch once, and you're going to see it only charge once. See? 1 armor charge. So you do need stacks on stacks because it also maintains the charge and doesn't have a countdown. On a feedback fence build, do not use anything like kinetic weapon surge. Do not use font of endurance. Nothing like that. So here are all the damage numbers. ×1, 91. ×2, 131. ×3, 171. ×4, 202. ×5, 226. Which means 10 resilience survives ×5. And ×6 is 251. Right? So you're visualizing this. You're like, well, wait a second. Your brain starts, rolling with some cogs there, and you think, I can prevent dying to the gambling melee if I switch to Behemoth with Tectonic Harvest and start farming abilities. And this is what happens. Look at all this armor charge that I'm building. Oh wait, I'm not building any armor charge. That's right, I'm still salty about feedback fences change. You can't even use Behemoth to prevent yourself from dying to Shiver Strike. It's so insulting to both Behemoth, to Cryoslide, to Armadillo Man, all of the above. let's get back on track here. In a future Prism Titan versus Prism Titan meta, feedback vents will have a place because I'm telling you, Titan gameplay is this. And you will win a lot of those fights and still keep your knockout for a second target, which means you can immediately send your Behemoth melee at someone else. So now let's talk about the mock builds that I made for this video and then tell you how I would actually make my Titan to fit my playstyle and my fun, most importantly. So this is anti-meta Titan. It is good. I just would rather be using a glaive with my feedback fence on the grapple. I feel like that's even harder to counter if done right. A little more fun too. So something like that. However, look at that intellect. Very dumb Titan. So you're not getting a super, which pretty much means that you're going back to Prism if you want to play counter meta. This is the cookie cutter. This is what you're going to see most. Slide shot, of course. You might even double proc slide shot from Extendo slide. Keep in mind that Swashbuckler with Radiance can just outright 2-tap. So in a way, Spare Ration Swashbuckler slide shot is superior to some exotic counterparts, like even over Ace of Spades, which you need a kinetic weapon surge to use to 2-tap with Radiant. So you need to get a kill, reload from Mori, then get a melee kill to proc Radiant. You're probably not even going to stick around to 2-tap somebody because you got a big juicy diamond lance there. Don't quote me out of context. Last Word, also a very good choice if you want to go the sniper route, because then you can also get amplified. But if you're going to do Last Word on a Titan, come on, you just play Peacekeepers. This is my Peacekeeper setup. It sacrifices a lot on the fragments to have something like Purpose for multi-kills, and I typically bust out the controller so that I can use Frenzied Blade optimally, where I slide out, oh no, the sniper, and then you swipe back in. And you have so many charges of Frenzied Blade that you're able to do that. Like, if I'm on console, I am shattering some ankles with this, and it might even be better throughout the entire game than Behemoth Melee, because I just have more opportunities where I'm alive, and I'm not gambling as much. This is more like gun skill for me. I really don't even need knockout with this setup either, so if I wanted to go like a Cryosthesia sidearm and start experimenting with Drenger's Lash or Unbreakable or something, I could do that too, since I no longer have to rely on Shiver Strike. I can instead just use Frenzied Blade to get the kill. Like, I throw Diamond Lance, I freeze him, and then Frenzied Blade for the kill. That makes an orb, that makes another Diamond Lance. Food for thought. So, Dune Marcher Cookie Cutter, as soon as I have a Exotic Cypher, we're fixing this Discipline. These are the fragments I decided to go for. Facet of Command to make the breaches, Honor for team pickup, Blessing for when I miss all my shots, Awakening for stats, Dawn for 2-taps, and then Twilight Arsenal at 9 intellect because I want to get my super in the match. A lot of teammates never... Actually, I've gone entire trials weekends with teammates not getting a super even once, so put your intellect up. You might even go for 10. 9 sometimes doesn't even feel like enough, even though it's only 5 seconds. Micro rant over. Since you're gonna have amplified so often, you don't really need Ophidians, which means you can run something instead of Ophidian, you can run Inmost and just have slightly faster cooldowns, which might be the difference to getting another Transcendence, which might be the difference between outright winning a match or looping your abilities again, because Transcendence resets your melee and gives you like 2 melee opportunities within it. So if you're getting 2 of those a game, you are gaming and will probably win the match. Oh, there goes the free-to-play. This is the next cookie cutter setup, which is the Ophidian route if you're not going Dune Marchers. You can start off the match with as fast handling as possible. Ophidians are plus 35 handling, so something like Spare Rations. If I got the optimal barrel, which would have been small bore, I'd still have 100 handling anyway, so kind of a wasted barrel here. Polygonal, not that much sense because I'm slide-shotting around all over the place. Also, I pick up ammo and I get anti-flinch. This gun's perfect. So Ophidian with the sniper rifle is a good call. So here's how that would math out. We go 35 base plus 35 Ophidian plus 40 amplified. Boom, 100. And you can even run that with something like Ariana's Vow if you want to go that route too. But yeah, this is a great way to snipe with the Titan. You know how powerful the wall is for using a snipe where you're just staring at somebody. And they'll be like cute with it. They'll be bagging you like they're a matador or something. And you just peek and tap them once. Like sometimes I'll even sit here on M&K. I'll plug the controller in, do my little circles, and then just walk it out, dome them, and then go back to M&K. No, I don't really do that. Okay, this is the grenade thrower build. Works off of the command pickups. Nerve runs a very, very similar setup. I'm not even sure if Ophidian benefits him though, because I know he also has a quick draw mindbender. But maybe like 100 handling Rose is the difference. I don't know. Rose is also very awesome because you're giving up dunes and you get that sprint speed. Otherwise, we'd have to go a lightweight shotgun, which is okay. I think Retro Futurist has trench barrel. And so if you're doing the gambling combo anyway, you get a 50% damage boost for 3 bullets. Like, for sure, if someone's in shotgun distance, as soon as you land, they're toast. Am I forgetting anything else before I close this out here? Those are the meta builds that I think we're going to start seeing. Dune Marcher Cookie Cutter, Ophidian Cookie Cutter, Armamentarium Cookie Cutter. If we want to go the wacky route, you start getting into the Bear Armamentarium setup, and Bear has some tech. Once again, I said I'm rapid firing here. That's the tech. You just cancel it. Third person peek, and the best part is you can shoot before the animation even finishes. So if I roll around this corner with the slug shotgun, especially my heritage, hit him in the face, like... Thing is, conditional finality kind of shits on this ability, so I haven't used it as much as I can. Let's say someone's like in this common corner, you just hit him with the slug headshot, and if I miss, you swipe away. Or swipe at him, if you body shot him. And it makes the diamond lance, if you wanted to go that route. Then I believe this one is Scars with Red Death. You've seen me drop multiple reruns in a row with that setup. It's really strong. This is my long range setup, which uses Dead Man's Tail and Lion Rampant. I would probably prefer Frenzied Blade, but I cannot deny how good Shiver Strike is. And so when I'm playing semi-competitively on a big map, this is my big map setup, and you can see I ditched the suppressor grenade to go for Glacier, so I can platform, which is very, very useful for sniping and Dead Man's Tail. Also, you can launch yourself. And if somebody's using the broken-ass Hunter Super and they throw the ice pick at you, you can just throw this down and it nullifies it. It's amazing. Or you can anticipate them throwing it at you, throw this up, and then you float. And the Smart Hunter will wait for you to land, but you have Lion Rampant. So you play the Matador, you float out for a second, right when you see him commit to the animation, see ya! You just send it another direction. A lot of kit investment, though, just not to die to a triple missile Titan Hunter. And then, this one's yellow because this is like the trials setup when someone's playing Degenerate Strategy. I pull out my own, which is a Final Warning setup. Just pretend that Cryosthesia is Final Warning with the Hipfire Bow on Lion Rampant, and it's the exact same setup. I have a ranged bow that I can blink away at, and if I think the hit's good, I fly in, float there with Final Warning, get the pre-charge. If it's bad, you Shiver Strike out. If it's good, you commit to the shot and float back out. Shoot her around the corner. I hope that this, I want to call it a deep dive, but this wasn't as deep as it could be. This is more like a medium dive on Prism Titan and going through the interactions involved with the Shiver Strike Gamble combo, as well as sharing numbers from my notes that should help you expand on this and come up with better builds, better team builds. Like, I would imagine having a Behemoth Titan giving away melee energy for free might be kind of decent in a team of 3 Titans. But then again, Behemoth was nerfed pretty badly. I'm going to stop talking in circles here. Y'all are the best. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit.